Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another trip to Nintendoland. That's right, we're back to talk about all things Nintendo here on our monthly podcast. I am Mike Burgess, and I am with Auri O'Neill. Hello, Auri.
Hello.
It's going to be a wonderful episode, as you could say, as Mario Wonder has come out. And it's a good video, very good video game. We've both been playing it, so we'll definitely talk about that in this episode. But some other news has come out. We'll talk about that. Literally, the day recording this, they've revealed the final wave of Mario Kart DLC, and when it comes out, so we'll talk about that. Plus, recently there was an interview with Doug Bowser talking about some Switch 2 stuff or whatever Nintendo's next console is going to be. You know, some vague stuff, but there's interesting things to talk about there. But before we get on that, Auri, how are you doing?
I'm doing good. You know, the world is terrible right now.
Yep. It's a
obviously
weird time.
Free Palestine is happening. Sending all my thoughts and love to those folks that are being brutally murdered for no reason. Layoffs are hitting.
All kinds of the game industry. Everything's on fire, basically.
It feels weird to not say it, but so I just want to say it. But
yeah, for sure. That's good to say. I agree. Glad you brought that. It's weird times in general for like the gaming space with layoffs and as people know, we also do a Destiny show. And that's going to be an interesting one. We're doing like we said before the show, we're doing the fun one, but it's hard. But it's still hard to kind of talk about the industry right now and just be positive with a lot of the stuff going on. It's just that I think it's just also that weird time of the year where I feel like once all the games come out, you're reminded of like, hey, there's some good video games this year, but man, there's a lot of people who are just out of the job for no good reason. This year should be such a victory lap. Yeah. And, luckily we haven't heard of like mass layoffs at Nintendo or anything like that. It happens, I know NOA testers and stuff get laid off and whatnot every now and again. Yeah. And they're usually pretty unshaken by industry trends and stuff. Again, you can talk about how weird and frustrating Nintendo is from time to time, but like they take care of their people for the most part, especially better than some for sure. And there's definitely at least somewhat recently there's been I've seen definitely positive things about like Nintendo's like I think their Japanese side has like some of the most positive kind of discussion in terms of like their employment and being employed there. There's a lot of positive stuff like that. There's definitely been some weird stuff Doug Bowser said about unionization and stuff.
I was going to say, Nintendo of America is a work in progress. You wonder what the underlying consistent issue is. The United States of America.
Yeah, turns out, yeah.
But other than that, pretty good. Feeling like there's just nothing like curling up with a great video game in my bed with my Switch. I've got this weird clamp situation where it like clamps onto the display and it clamps onto the Pro controller, so I don't have to use the Joy-Cons anymore. I've just given up on Joy-Con enjoyment. I can't sit in bed. And like I said, that OLED Switch that I spent money on this year, it's got those better speakers, so I don't have to worry about not being able to hear my Switch in bed. And it's one of those things, like, I don't know if you remember, I think it was last year, Nintendo just like quietly updated the Switch to allow for Bluetooth headphones. Oh. And so I will very regularly like put my AirPods Pro, I'll pair them with the Switch, and just noise canceling on the Switch, just chilling out in my Mario Wonder World, singing a cappella with a bunch of plants. It's a great time. So those vibes have been supreme.
That's very good. Yeah, and it's definitely, I think that's maybe how we can spin it. Of like, there's a lot of shitty stuff and difficult and stuff in the news in the world and all these things. So like, we'll do our best to kind of have our solaces and enjoy games ourselves, but maybe talk about some more fun, lighthearted things here on the show to hopefully take our minds off it ourselves for a little while, but also hopefully for you guys listening.
or watching on YouTube or whatever you're doing, however you're getting to us. We can
we're here for you in whatever capacity that content is.
Just kind of have some fun talking about some Nintendo news and games and stuff. But let's get to it with our first one, and this is like sort of breaking. Like we occasionally get the chance to get same day news here recorded when we're recording this show.
I'm sure Switch 2 will be announced tomorrow, Mike. Don't worry about it.
We're gonna put this episode up, and some stupid ladies playing a Switch 2 on a trailer, and
it could happen. It really could.
That totally could. That's really funny, but yeah, we'll see. Always the roll of dice, but we'll see. Today we got the trailer / reveal of all the 8 last and final Mario Kart 8 DLC tracks coming, and they'll be released November 9th. So that's like about a weekish or so from when we're recording this and when this trailer dropped. We got the 8 final tracks. Let me see. I'm just skimming the trailer here just so I remember each one here. Let me go to this thing here. So this quick, they usually do like a shot here. Here it is. So here we go. I'll go down the list here. So we have the tour tracks as expected. Surprisingly, one did not make it in, so I'm kind of surprised by that. But we have the first 4 and the first cup is Rome Avanti. That's like the tour track is based off Rome. It looks really nice. Goated track. I'm so happy to see it here. DK Mountain from Double Dash is in. And
finally,
very excited about that. It looks gorgeous in the Mario Kart 8 engine. Looks great. I'm really stoked that track made it. After that, we have a Wii Daisy Circuit, which was like the first one they revealed like a couple weeks ago, I think in the Direct that happened a little while ago. And that definitely threw a lot of people off because they weren't really, this was not like, there was leaks and data mines of like what some of the tracks should potentially be, but they kind of threw it all, they honestly kind of threw a lot of it out here with this last wave with that stuff, which so I kind of appreciate if that was intentional or not. Maybe this is always the plan and it just kind of worked out this way, but who knows at this point. But these are what we're getting. So yeah, Wii Daisy Circuit, that's a cool one from the Wii. It's like all like sunset, Daisy inspired and has a bunch of like fun little shortcuts and stuff from what I remember. After that is another tour track, Piranha Plant Cove. This one looks really pretty in Mario Kart 8 because it's all like underwater / like coastal ruins at night. So you're like driving around underwater with all these like sea creatures like swimming around, and there's little water chutes you can do tricks off of underwater. But then you'll like race and move out of the water into these little kind of like cove islands around those ruins and stuff. Really cool little track from Mario Kart Tour. And it's set up similarly to tour tracks where like each lap is like a different like route. Instead of it just being one like straight route compared to some of the other original tracks we've gotten from tour, so that's cool. Awesome. Then we have the next cup. The last city tour track is Madrid. Is that track that's based off this one? This is like the last city track to come to tour, and I played it in tour. It's okay. I feel like compared to some of the other cities, it's not as interesting. I actually think the Rome track is really cool. But this one's like okay-ish, where it feels a lot more like some of the earlier city tracks where it's like, okay, I'm just on some city streets, and then there's like one lap where it's like, oh cool, I drive through like a soccer field, and I'm like, and there's like big soccer balls being kicked around. Okay. So that's like that's one fun. That's kind of fun, but like most of the other track is kind of admittedly a little like simpler than some of the more recent ones. So that's okay, but that'll be our last city course. And we have another surprise DLC track being Rosalina's Ice World. This was from Mario Kart 3DS. So people thought the 3DS, they weren't going to get any more 3DS tracks because of some of the data mining and stuff. But then they kind of just threw a surprise one in, and it honestly makes sense just because like the timing of this DLC drop being in the wintertime, and it's like all snowy ice track that's really cool, and you can see like in some of the screenshots like when you start in the starting lap, you're next to like the big Rosalina like Mario Galaxy like observatory, and you like race through like this like snowy ice area and underwater and stuff. So that's pretty cool. That track made a return. It's a pretty decent one. Good music, because you can, if you go to like the Japanese Mario Kart website, you can go listen to some of the music for each track already on that site. And yeah, the updated remix of this one in particular was very good. When I listened to it this morning. Next up, we finally got a Bowser Castle. SNES Bowser's Castle 3. This one's actually really cool because this was one that like they fully remade in the sort of style, like a more Mario Kart 8 inspired style. Like it was pretty clear because this track came like a few months ago, earlier this year in tour, and it was like pretty clear, like even in that tour version, that it's like, oh yeah, they literally like took one of the sections of the track and like put it in this big 90-degree angle that you're racing through up the wall on tour. That was like very blatantly going to be like an anti-grav section 4-8, and sure enough, you can watch this trailer and see that like this exactly is that. It's like this big, you have like this big whole uphill like section with a bunch of ramps and stuff that like is all anti-grav. Then you make a big U-turn and then you're coming downhill through these like crazy like stairway looking areas. So it's a really cool update to that original track. That was originally like a SNES track. So it's definitely one of the bigger glow ups. I think one of those SNES classic sort of style tracks I've ever gotten. Sure. And of course, it's a Bowser Castle track we finally got. We haven't gotten any Bowser tracks in the DLC, even in the base DLC, right? So it's cool that we're finally getting one. Then, of course, we're ending it on, I would consider this like one of the most fan favorite tracks that I hear a lot of people, and that's Wii Rainbow Road. A lot of people like Wii Rainbow Road. I like it too from when I played it in the Wii one. I wouldn't consider it my personal favorite Wii Rainbow Road. That was the 3DS one that came with like the like in the earlier in the DLC. But this one's really cool too. It's very big and windy, and like looks like in the trailer they made it like entirely anti-grav, like some of the other Rainbow roads in the game. So lots there in that track. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, overall, this is it. This is our final wave of DLC for the game. You know, obviously they revealed earlier in the direct this month that we're getting 4 more characters as well. So it'd be Diddy Kong and Funky Kong and Rosalina, and then like I think it's like Peachette.
Peachette and Pauline.
Not Reen. Yeah, that's right. Pauline. Yep. Thank you. So yeah, that's it.
Peachette is a really weird.
Peachette's a weird choice. I feel like that was definitely just made because it was like one of the tour characters that was super easy to port.
Oh, sure. Now Funky Kong is really weird, but in the way that I like.
yeah. Funky Kong was like Funky Kong and Diddy Kong made a lot of sense just because they've been in every other Mario Kart game, basically. So like it made sense that they made a return, and then Pauline's like I think has been like very recently been like very popular to like add in these sort of Mario games. So Peachette was definitely the odd one.
Yeah, since the Odyssey era, it's cool to see Pauline come back into play.
Yeah, and then one other little cool detail I saw, so I'm curious if we'll see anything else when the DLC actually drops on the 9th, is that we're getting a bunch of new like Mii racing suits. And also they're doing like the Smash Brothers thing where there's like a jukebox mode where you can just listen to the music.
Nice.
So
they're I will listen to Dolphin Shoals. Thank you very much.
You can just play it like it. It's not like they pitched it the same way they did the Smash thing where they showed like some person just like put headphones in and just listening to like an MP3 player or something. It's very silly.
Now you can use Bluetooth headphones. Happy to report.
There it is. Hell yeah. Full circle. We need it.
Finally. Yeah, I mean, this is great for me too because I really didn't play much of the 3DS Mario Kart 7.
Yeah.
And I almost never played Mario Kart Wii. I played it once at a family member's house. So I've never seen that Rainbow Road.
Nice.
I've not seen Daisy Circuit. I've not seen the 3D, the Rosalina's Observatory.
Yeah,
Those are all like brand new tracks for me. Everything else I've played, but outside of the tour tracks. But very excited about Donkey Kong Mountain, DK Mountain. I've been talking about it. I think every DLC. Drop,
yeah, same. I definitely is. That was definitely. I remember when this stuff was first announced. I was like, that track's got to be in there at some point, and they kept it all the way to the end, which makes sense because it is like I would say it's like just as one of the fan favorites across the series. So yeah, really cool to see it here, and overall overall, we'll have the DLC in a week here on the 9th. Sometimes we've streamed it. We'll see if we can make that happen. I don't know if we will be able to. But as I was thinking of another idea, I'm just gonna pitch it here to you live here in the podcast of doing like.
I'm a say yes kind of guy. So.
Yeah, so I was thinking it'd be fun to like do like now we have everything, and this is more than likely our last bit of Mario Kart 8 as a whole. Because even in this trailer they say like there's what was the specific wording of it towards the end. I'll pull it up real quick. It literally just says the final 8 courses from the Mario Kart series are here. So they say like final 8, and they kind of is like they put that in the line here in the trailer. So I feel like that puts it pretty definitively that I think like there isn't going to be like Booster Course Pass 2 or whatever coming or more DLC that we haven't seen.
That would be wild. Honestly, like now that we're here at the end, it has been so many tracks.
Yeah, so many tracks and like what what's next for Mario Kart, we have no idea. So I was thinking of we're talking about a bunch of other different Nintendo things, so I wasn't going to spend too much time on Mario Kart 8 here, especially since the DLC is going to come out and we're going to play it anyway and we can give our thoughts. So I was thinking maybe doing I don't know if we could do it as like a review discussion or maybe like a smaller Nintendoland episode where we just kind of talk about Mario Kart 8 as like a whole and like look back at all the stuff we liked about Mario Kart 8 over the years, all the DLC tracks that have now come, and we can talk about those new tracks there as well. I know at one point we talked about doing like a tier list of stuff for this game, so this would be a good time to do that. And then also talk about like what we want to see from Mario Kart next. I think that'd just be like a fun separate discussion for us to have. So we'll figure out when we'll do that. It'll probably be like around when that DLC comes out. We'll record that and do that like separate. So I don't know if that'll end up being a mini Nintendoland like spin-off episode, or maybe we'll do it as like a review discussion. It'll ultimately still be here on YouTube on our Irrational Passions page, or it'll be on like podcast services or wherever. But
we should do 2 tier lists for the tracks. One ranking the tracks as the tracks, and then one ranking the tracks by their music.
Okay, yeah, I like that.
Because I gotta get Dolphin Shoals up in that S tier somehow.
Dolphin Shoals it'd be high with me regardless too as well.
Yeah, it's a great track too.
So
it's very fun.
So
I'm very down.
Yeah, so we'll figure that out. We're definitely gonna be recording some other stuff soon here in the near future. So
we've got an Alan Wake review discussion that we have to allot 4.5 hours to
Yes, seriously, yeah. I literally, not to go off too much Alan Wake tangent already, but like I beat that game and like in like a haze binge session in a weekend just because I wanted to play it so badly. Obviously, we both did, and then I didn't want to be like spoiled on shit. I just wanted to see the insanity of that game for myself. After waiting for so long and being like so much more excited after Post Control, but it was like it's like so much to take in that I kind of already want to play through it again before we record it again, because there's just so much. Yeah, like I'm definitely considering it too already.
I beat it at 2:00 in the morning, and then I laid in bed for 2 hours thinking about it. Not even kidding. Not a joke. Yeah.
I definitely a lot of moments where I like paused and like had to like sit there for a second and just be like, holy shit, what the fuck all of this happened just now? And it's like one like single section of a game. Like what the fuck? So like
again, video games are really good to play right now.
yeah, exactly. But that's something to look forward to as well. But yeah, overall, we'll have once this DLC comes out in about a week or so. I think this by the time this episode is out, it'll be a week or so. We'll do something more Mario Kart 8 focused talk about. So look forward to that. But next up, another thing I wanted to get. I put this here just because I more also just wanted like a general vibe check. Because we finally got recently, I think it was last week, Mario Party 3 came to the N64 Nintendo Switch Online. Finally, after I think they said it was going to be on Nintendo Switch Online like more than a year ago, Because remember when they originally showed N64 Online was coming, like this was like one of the games they showed. They showed like the 3 Mario parties and like I think like the 2 Pokemon
Stadium games
and like something else. And like I think pretty much all of those games has finally made it, but it's been a year plus.
Is Stadium 2 there? Did that finally come out?
I believe both the Pokemon Stadium games are on it. I think there was a different like non-Pokemon Mario game that was a part of that group that they showed.
Yeah,
I think that's
Puzzle League.
I think that's right? No, Pokemon Puzzle League is on online. I think it was like nothing related to Pokemon or Mario. It was like some random like I think it was 1080 snowboarding. I think that's what it was.
Yes, it was a snowboarding game.
I think it was like a snowboarding thing, and that's not there yet. But I guess we have December, and that would make a lot of sense as a December game, I guess. But yeah, it took us a whole year to get the 3 Mario Party games on the Nintendo Switch Online. And have you been really doing much Nintendo Switch Online game playing, or has it really been interested to you? Like maybe not Mario Party games, maybe some of the other games that have been on there. Have you been like, yeah, let me use this to get back into it? Because I can tell you, me personally, I've had no interest in this thing still after all this time.
Yeah, I definitely peek in there every now and again. I played through Minish Cap earlier this year, which we talked about.
Nice.
And the GBA stuff, I guess like that appealed to me in the moment a lot more. I played through Ocarina of Time on there as well before the Tears of the Kingdom. That's the game came out.
Yeah.
It's only been 5-6 months. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know. A lot has happened in that time, to be fair.
So many games have come out since then.
Yeah, so many games, so many weird life shit. Yeah, there's a lot of change.
So I don't know. I peek in there every now and again. They just put out an essay or Game Boy and 2 NES games, right? Like, and one had the devil guy who's the assist trophy in Smash Brothers. I'm like, oh, I recognize this guy. I think he was Smash Brothers. I finally know the game that he's from, which I think it's just called Devil, is the character and the game. Not positive. I check the games there. You still don't have the expansion pass.
Yeah, right? I've never upgraded to whatever the $50 a year or whatever version is that thing, and I think that's what gets you Nintendo, the N64 stuff, right? Yeah.
Yes.
I think I still have just the base Nintendo Switch Online, just so if we ever. The few times we play online games together as a group at IP, that's basically why I still have it. Because I honestly I don't really when I play game at least recently a lot of the games I would play on there not really have online. But to be fair, when we talk about Mario Wonder, I do actually like a lot of the online features of that game. Even though we've only really did a small bit of co-op, but it's some of the other stuff that's in there is actually really cool.
Yes, agreed.
But at the end of the day, though, there will be a time where it's I still have a little bit more to do in Mario Wonder, but I will. But that would not, even with how cool that stuff is, I don't know if it's still even driving me enough to keep Nintendo Switch Online for too much longer. If I'm just being honest, because I don't really play a lot of games online, and then if I really super desperately wanted to play one of those Switch Online games, there's other means to play those, and I mean, I won't confirm or deny what kind of means or ways to play those, but
but better libraries probably.
Other ways to access these games exists, and Nintendo has not made a good enough for me personally. This has not made a good enough push to get more of that stuff on there for me to see it as a worthy thing. That can change, to be fair, with what what if they we'll get into it in this some of this interview talk where Doug Bowser talks about there potentially being more Nintendo accounts carrying over on to a new system, and maybe they've held on, maybe because maybe they're holding off on putting too much stuff in this thing because they maybe this is me maybe talking in a with some copium here, but
Sure.
Maybe their plan is to hold back on some of these libraries a little bit longer, because then they can put out this new console and make that a selling point to get people onto that their Nintendo Switch accounts or whatever. So that way, when they get on those accounts, then they can access a bigger library of games when they first get this new console, and maybe that's a way they make up for, who knows how many big first party Nintendo things are going to be there right away. And we even saw it with the Switch, where like the Switch had like that mix of like, here's obviously Breath of the Wild, which is a huge game, but then we had like a longer stretch of like some cool things in between there but they were mostly like updates or ports of things. And then we obviously got Mario Odyssey that same year, so we did get a lot of really good stuff.
Splatoon 2 was in the summer as well.
Right, true. But yeah, maybe this is a way for them to like maybe they I don't think that you're obviously not going to have a big Zelda game, but there's potential they have like maybe a big 3D Mario game, or maybe Metroid Prime 4
Zelda remake
or something. That's true. They could have like some kind of Zelda remake as well.
Ocarina of Time remake's been like percolating in the background. I feel like
true.
So.
So like there could be bigger stuff there right at the launch of Switch, but I could also see them maybe just having like one big thing and then kind of trying to recapture that like initial like spread for original Switch, where it's like they have the one big game at launch and then they sprinkle some like cool things in between there, and then they'll have like one big fall game or something like that, depending on whatever they do, but we'll see.
Honest to God, like if they can pull off and I know we're going to talk about this in the next news story, but if they can pull off the backwards compatibility idea, at the very least, of your Switch games, the major Switch games and all the ports that they've put on there, and your NSO games, and you have that, if they can get that big first game out and get the peppered first year, I think that's like a super great formula for success.
Yeah.
I think it worked for the PlayStation huge. 5. So
yeah, absolutely.
I don't know why it couldn't work for Nintendo. And they've got there's such a great Switch library. You give me a platform where like some games are going to play a little bit better as well. Like I think that makes up a difference for people like you and me. Maybe not for the casuals, but they're going to show up because it's the Nintendo and they need to get the new Nintendo,
Yeah, exactly. That's all it'd be, because I think like, if they can get a few of those things in order for the launch of this thing, that is at least going to get people like us who want to be there day one super in. And then, if the other people who will eventually come on anyway because they see like, oh, the big Mario game, or the big Mario Kart's back, the new Mario Kart will eventually be on that new thing or whatever it is.
Exactly.
That'll be the thing that really drives it home. So if they can get a lot of us in early again with that kind of stuff, and then have like bigger successes down the line, it would make a lot of sense.
Here's what you do. Day one, you get your big game. I don't know what it is. Maybe this Donkey Kong Mario game that we all dream about. It's not real, for sure. Not real.
Yeah.
Star Fox Grand Prix. You get that. You get updated port of Smash Brothers with maybe, I don't even need a big thing. Maybe one new character, right? It doesn't have to be a big thing.
Yeah, they could like for launch at least, they could do like two new characters. Maybe like update maybe like some of the already existing characters.
Add break the targets.
Yeah. Subspace Emissary 2. Let's see it.
Oh my god, could you imagine? What if they just put Subspace Emissary from Brawl in it? That would be cool too. Again,
honestly, sure, why not?
Super low hanging fruit here, but I'd be super down.
Yeah.
Just remaster all those cutscenes and put them. It'd be great. Do something like that, and then just get Mario Kart 9 out by the end of that year, and honest to God, you'll have the best first year of any console ever, probably.
Pretty much. Yeah, they don't even. I don't even think they have to go that hard, honestly. Like I think they could do
that's too hard.
Yeah, like I think they could do like maybe like a Mario, like a new 3D Mario game at launch, or like within like the first few months of that, and then have like something like Metroid Prime 4 as like a holiday game, and then like I think that even that alone is like pretty solid start in my opinion. And then
we're in that space too, where like a new Animal Crossing could maybe that gets out early in the console, so they know that they plan to support it throughout the lifespan of the console, right?
That would also be really smart. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And have those.
They're getting better about the long tail on games.
Yeah, totally.
Honest to God, I think they're better at it than some other people are.
Yeah,
because
true.
They don't like try and take your time and money in a kind of malicious way. It's like, hey, you're going to get little Mario Kart updates or little Smash Brother updates throughout the next 2 years. Have fun with it. Pay $25 and you're in. Have a fun time.
Yeah. And I could totally see them doing that, and or like tying, like they kind of started to do with Switch, where like they tie those updates into like their online accounts and services, so then you're just like paying a subscription and kind of getting those updates, like buying the games outright and then buying into that subscription to get more out of those games. Definitely seems like what they're going to try and push maybe more with this.
For NSO, like, keep in mind as a reminder to people, I have a guy. I got my guy, my boy Brant Range. We do the family plan. So family I pay $5 a year and I get Switch Online and I'm set. So that is like, I've not paid for the Mario Kart DLC. I didn't pay for the Animal Crossing DLC. I got those expansions as part of the expansion pass. I'm taking as much advantage of it as I can.
Yeah.
So I'm getting a great value, I'll say.
Yeah. That is pretty good for sure. And I think that might be part of their plan. But yeah, we can dive a little bit more into that, because a interview with Doug Bowser came out from Inverse. This was Willow Rowe over at Inverse. Had a interview with Doug Bowser. It says Nintendo of America president on the future of the Switch, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, and more. So you talk about a few different things in this thing. The first thing I did want to bring up, because we will, Mario Wonder just recently came out, and we both played and we're going to talk about it. But they did have an interesting approach to that, and it like makes sense with like a lot of what Nintendo's been doing recently, where I feel like they've, Jeff Grev always brings up of like some of these games they just like have made and like just hold on to forever, and then just will throw it out. Like we
apparently there's a Fire Emblem remake in that.
Yeah, because and that was even that Fire Emblem game. Remember there was one that came out this year, Engage. Yeah,
yep.
That was that way. The Metroid Prime remasters have been the same way, where they just kind of had them.
Interesting.
And held on to this, but Mario Wonder had like a similar. It sounds like a similar-ish approach from what they say in this article, where this is her question to Doug. Producer Takashi Tezuka recently said Super Mario Bros. Wonder wasn't developed with a deadline in mind until much later in development. An industry famous for crunch, how do you think the development team's approach affected the final product of Super Mario Bros. Wonder? This is what Doug Bowser said. I'm always careful not to comment on the part of the developers, but in general, what Mr. Tezuka noted was that very early on in the development cycle, he really did want to give the team the freedom to explore a variety of ideas. The result was a lot of unique and creative ideas that they could think about without the pressure of a deadline or the pressure of how do I actually bring this to life. One thing with Nintendo's development is we don't pressure our teams to deliver within a certain window. If they need more time, they'll take more time, and the reason for that is our players have an expectation of the quality that our games will bring. We want to make sure we respect that and deliver those wow moments. So, yeah.
Hey, mission accomplished.
Mission accomplished, yeah, from what I played with that, and I definitely that's definitely good to hear that approach, and I think like
that's awesome.
More people should do that. Like again, like we know, like the Switch and a lot of Nintendo's games have made banger millions and a lot of money for them, so they like definitely have a little bit of luxury there to like do that. But like I think it should still be definitely a focus, and you can tell that with like a lot of Nintendo's games that they have a certain level of quality to them, and that's why they get that. So that's good to hear. But yeah, the big thing I want to talk about from here is, he kind of alluded to some of the things, the prospects of the Nintendo, the next Nintendo console, and it more than likely having some form of backwards compatibility, hopefully thanks to us having this Nintendo account already set up with Switch. And he kind of more or less, infers that here a little bit. But here, I'll just kind of tell you what he said. So here's the question here first. There have been reports Nintendo showed off a successor to the Switch behind closed doors during Gamescom. As we have discussed, the Switch had a long lifespan and a huge install base. How, when you consider the idea of a successor to the Switch, do you think about helping those people who were on the console transfer to the next platform while reassuring them that the content and investment in the Switch will somehow transfer to its successor? Then he goes on to say, well, first, I can't comment, or I won't comment, I should say, on the rumors that are out there. But one thing we've done with the Switch to help with that communication and transition is the formation of the Nintendo account. In the past, every device we transitioned to a whole new account system, creating the Nintendo, basically already saying, in the past, every device we transitioned to had a whole new account system. So he's saying, like, we went from, like, from Wii to Wii U, there was different accounts from like 3DS and DS. I think had Wii U. I think the Wii U and 3DS accounts were worked together, but then also they did Switch again, and Switch was a different account. But now Nintendo account is what we're on now, and that is going to be moving forward to a thing. He basically is saying here, creating the Nintendo account will allow us to communicate with our players if and when we make a transition to a new platform to help ease that process or transition. Our goal is to minimize the dip you technically see in the last year of one cycle and the beginning of another. I can't speak to the possible features of a new platform, but the Nintendo account is a strong basis for having that communication as we make the transition. So there you go. So that's, I feel like that's like a soft kind of confirmation of like this Nintendo account. And that Nintendo account right now gains us things like the Nintendo Switch Online with that library of older games, and it's like playing games online with Nintendo, with those Nintendo games. So like it doesn't necessarily say like it's guaranteed that everything that's on Switch now will carry over, but I think it strongly implies that there's a better potential for that than ever, and I really hope they are able to at least kind of mirror everything that like you have on Switch right now is backwards compatible, and with every other modern console we've gotten, right? Like you said with the PlayStation, like when I first got my PS5, I literally just put in my login credentials when I first booted up, and all my shit just populated immediately. Same with the Xbox Series S that I got. So like I feel like Nintendo's next console should be a similar thing of like I'm gonna log into my Nintendo Switch account, or my Nintendo account, as they're calling it here, day one, and then like if I'm subscribed to that Nintendo Switch Online stuff, that library of games is already on that new hardware, whatever the backwards compatible digital stuff I own, or the whatever the stuff that is on Nintendo Switch Online, old school library of games like NES and GBA stuff, whatever access I have to those things, all of those games just are already there day one. At least that's the hope, right? Like it seems like this seems like that's hopefully what's happening here.
It's a good sign.
It's a good sign, and I am hoping at least at the very least, this I still think would not be great, but at least like when you log in, like the old school Nintendo Switch Online games that are already on there, like NES, SNES, like that library just is exactly what it is, and will be on that new console. I can't imagine them not having other backwards compatibility where you can't just play Switch games on this thing if it's supposed to be like a proper successor to a Switch, from all intents and purposes of what they've said. So
I mean, Nintendo always digs these dumb holes that they put themselves in, right?
Yeah,
where it's
and they got to build back. They got to build up.
Joy-Con's got an IR sensor, so these 10 games can't come to the,
right.
It's and the new Joy-Cons don't have that,
and that's totally possible because whatever, what if like this next thing isn't Joy-Cons aren't Switch, like a thing or whatever, and there's games on Switch now that you can only play with like detached Joy-Cons. Like we won't really talk about that much here because I personally am not going to probably get into it, but WarioWare Move It just got its reviews, and it seems generally fine. Like it seems like it's pretty much on par with that last WarioWare game that came out, I think like a year or two ago, where it seems very focused on playing with Joy-Con movements and messing around with that stuff. And some people seem into it. I definitely saw people just being like, yeah, it's kind of more of that. And if you want to dance around with your Joy-Con still, I guess that's a thing. But I'm kind of personally over that kind of stuff.
Sure.
So that's I could see a potential where like a game like that, or ruining the mode for everybody, but 1-2 switch, and everybody's 1-2 switch might not be playable on this new thing if they don't have if they're not able to like hook up Joy-Cons to it or have detached Joy-Cons or whatever those things end up being controlling that on that new system. Like, as long as if it's just something like that, I can totally live with that. And then but like I would love to be able to still play like Tears of the Kingdom or Mario Wonder or Breath of the Wild or Smash or Mario Kart or whatever on this new thing day one if I want to, and just like have those. And maybe they have like slightly better like slightly up-res graphics or something, or some kind of minor updates like that.
A 120 hertz mode. So absolute overkill. It's just like the idea of getting my new Switch and not being able to just download Smash Brothers Ultimate on it and play it. Yeah, just even again, I'm not saying they have to do the Ultimate Edition, right? Like they don't have to, as long as you can just play that game there. Maybe it runs at a higher resolution. Maybe it's just the same game, but I can at least bring it forward.
Or like they like it's a thing where like they have sort of the it's like a weird variant of the like you could upgrade the PS4 version of a game to a PS5 version of a game. Like maybe they have like if you have Smash Ultimate and you put it into like the new Nintendo console, it upgrades to that new version of the game if you already own the game. Or there's like maybe like a small fee, like you pay like $10-15 or whatever, and it upgrades it to like that new Smash Ultimate version or whatever.
So now they did this, if you remember, with the Wii to Wii U virtual console games that you had purchased on Wii when they came out on Wii
U. Like a discounted
like pay 60 cents for this Super Nintendo game. It was so weird.
Right.
So they could do that again.
Yeah, totally could.
I would be upset, but I would, like, if it's in that reasonable, like $5 or less kind of range, Nintendo might have gotten me.
Yeah, I would at least do it for a few games, but like I wouldn't care enough to do it for everything.
Priority games.
For sure, yeah. So like there's still like, we're all, obviously it's all speculation here, of course, but like, there's at least a positive, at the end of the day, there's a positive sign where like, they're carrying over this base account to this next, whatever this next console is going to be. And that gives me a lot of hope that like we're going to see a lot of the stuff that is already existing on Switch carry over thanks to that. And they can make that, like they said, they like his words here exactly were like, what was it? Our goal is to minimize the dip you typically see in the last year of one cycle and the beginning of another, which I think, I literally kind of said that earlier of like, you have that, end of, it was very clear when the Wii U was ending, because that last year you had like, it was a barren fucking wasteland.
It was rough.
And then we got like, boom, we got friggin', Breath of the Wild, and then, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe and Splatoon 2 and a bunch of other stuff where like, presumably if next year is the last year of the Switch, and we're getting a new console probably maybe in that year, potentially, more than likely.
If we're in the final 12 months.
Yeah, it seems like it seems definitely it seems already in a better place than at least the end of the Wii U was, for sure, right? Where we're at least getting that, we're getting that Princess Peach game, we're getting the Paper Mario remake, and then like Luigi's Mansion HD, Luigi's Mansion 2. HD, and probably some other stuff too that we don't know about yet.
Yeah, like this Fire Emblem remake that we mentioned earlier. Yeah. I guess they just make Fire Emblem games and then sit on them, which is so funny.
Seems like it.
There is another, and the Metroid Prime 2 and 3 remakes,
right?
Are out
still,
there, and
still possibly happen. Yeah.
Yeah, those are easy. Like, okay, this is going to take longer. Let's throw that out.
And the Mario versus Donkey Kong remake. I forgot about that as too.
Yeah, no one cares.
I'm not interested in that personally at all. But that's still like more games than they had in the end at the end of the Wii U cycle for sure. Even all those shot at the Pokken tournament, one of the last Wii U games, the GOAT.
Hell yeah! At least it got ported. Again, that's a game that could now potentially never die. Thank you, backwards compatibility. Hopefully.
Yeah, I totally agree.
It's like I have had my Wii plugged in forever. It's set up in my console setup. I have my Wii U as well, and that's just a bad decision. But I've had my Wii there because
It's the only way I can play GameCube games. And if I ever wanted to play Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door, which I do want to play frequently, and finally, we're like 2024, where I can finally retire my Wii.
Finally retire the Wii. I definitely have
GameCube
that
game.
I similarly just have like my Nintendo GameCube on my in my stand with a bunch of random GameCube games, and it's like looking at now, it's where it's like, oh yeah, I had Metroid Prime in that with those. I had like that. There's still like stuff like Kirby's motherfucking Air Ride, which I got.
Kirby's Air Ride, yeah. God, could you imagine if they remade Kirby's Air Ride?
I would.
If they got like Sock Ride back too, like
I would lose it. If they made like, even if it was just like a fucking HD digital only port of it, and just give it like a proper online play, like that's all they need to do.
That would be hype.
Like they make those smaller weird Kirby digital only games all the freaking time. And there's definitely been plenty of those on the Switch. Like, who the fuck is still playing that weird Kirby like Dream? What is it? Like, Dream? It was like Dream Course or whatever. And he's like, they were like all like little Kirby balls, and you raced or whatever. Like that was cute for like 2 days, and then everybody forgot about it.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah, Kirby fuck Cupcake Ride, whatever the fuck it's called. Like, that's gone and gone. Like let's get real. Come on, make like
Kirby Air Ride.
Yeah, you really don't have to even fully remake the game. Just make the city trial mode. It's like city trial mode HD. make a city map, and then you can make that like a thing you can download, and then give it like some occasional updates where maybe you add a new map or like add little new events that can happen in that map. Like that's all you need to do, and that would be like that'd be one of their most fucking played online games. I guarantee it.
I'm just imagining a monkey paw situation where it's like free to play Kirby's Air Ride, just the cityscape.
Get the Kirby ride day one. I'm getting that battle pass.
First Nintendo battle pass.
Getting that battle passes. I am the mark that'll get the Kirby Air Ride battle pass.
That's true. You're like getting to battle pass level 100, so you can get like the Death Star.
I can put my. That's how you get like they'll take all like the Smash Brothers Kirby skins and make those like skins you can earn in that game. So like I could be Cloud Strife Kirby in Kirby Air Ride HD.
20 different types of currencies.
I'm in.
Check out Mike's Wayfinder review. Check it out right now. A lot of battle pass.
Still that's a fun game, but yeah, like they need to. Speaking of the other live service game we talk about, if any complaints you've ever had about currency in a live service game, oh boy, that game puts any other game into shame. It's buck wild. But anyway, the last thing they talk about here, which I think we did talk about a little bit, was Doug Bowser was asked again by Willa here about unionization efforts and what he thought about it. So this is our question here. Unionization efforts are gaining steam across the game industry. What role do you think a union could play at Nintendo in the future? This is what Doug Bowser had to say about that.
Emphasis on Bowser.
Yep. And here's what he said. We don't currently have unions at Nintendo of America, and part of that is driven by the employee feedback we see, which is a high degree of job satisfaction and engagement overall. You only have to look at our retention numbers, which are very, very high within the industry, and our obviously low turnover rate as a result. Our focus has always been on creating a culture that's inclusive, has a work-life balance, and is focused on our singular mission of bringing smiles to faces. I think we're on the right path in terms of ensuring we've got a work environment and culture that allows people to be productive, to have balance in their lives, and to grow within the company. Everyone has the right to form a union, and certainly in the future, wherever it'll take us, we'll respect that. But we're very much focused right now on how to create the best culture, work culture, and environment possible. Again, we're always listening to our workers, and we want to make sure we have both formal and informal ways of getting worker feedback and understanding the needs of our employees and where we can improve. And we always act on that feedback. And as I said earlier, there's always a right to form unions, and we respect that. So again, I think you can kind of take that a few ways of like, hey, sure, cool, let's. You can tell me numbers all day, but and you're talking about Nintendo employee, there might be that sentiment in, direct hires of Nintendo, but there's definitely contractors, QA people that probably work at Nintendo that would have very different feelings. And obviously we've talked about that. It was a while ago. That I think it was earlier this year,
last year.
I think it was last year.
Last year, I think. Because shout out to Inverse also, where we got the interview for link to the Axios article. That's like, hey, this person was fired from Nintendo for speaking about unions.
Yep. Yeah. Speaking of, that totally did happen.
Yeah, that was September last year. So like,
right. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that is like Doug Bowser specifically. The honesty there is talking about like Nintendo full-time internal employees, Treehouse employees. Like the Treehouse team has been pretty much the same for years. Kit and Krista, who left and started their own podcast, they're like one of the few people from that team that I know that left.
Yeah, like largely, like it's been like generally more vocal about like having left at there for sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think that's definitely something there. Like so, like I think he is right to a certain extent, but yeah, I think there's definitely a lot more.
There are people that get left behind.
Nuance. There's nuance there, and definitely like I don't know the exact number of Nintendo of America employees, but I'm sure there's the decent amount, and I don't know if everyone would feel that way. And obviously, like we said, there's contractors to think about as well, and for QA and stuff, who aren't necessarily always considered when discussions of employees at like gaming companies come up. So they're definitely usually also very much on the shorter ends of the stick when it comes to that kind of stuff. So could be a different story from a lot of those people, right? But at the end of the day, like it seems like Nintendo at least is maybe in a better spot than a lot of these other gaming studios.
Oh yeah.
In recent news about layoffs and things like that. So that's one thing. That's one nice thing. But they're a business and a company, so that can always change very fast.
Nintendo's still got like the Wii vault of money, right? Like they had such a huge boon where they were making such a huge profit.
And now like the Switch, I think is just as much,
if not more. It's crazy.
Absolutely,
it is. Nintendo is at a very interesting pivot point though, with like obviously the Mario movie coming out, being a animated movie that makes $1 billion, which does not happen often.
Yeah.
Let alone like a First Come and an Illumination movie.
Yeah.
So they have that and a potential multimedia empire that they can build with that. But also, you've got multiple theme parks in multiple countries on multiple continents.
Yeah.
And that is a new facet of Nintendo's business. So they're definitely at an interesting like fulcrum point where things could change pretty rapidly and drastically from here.
Yeah.
Hopefully for the better. That's fingers crossed. That's all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So you could see, Nintendo. Yeah, like you said, it's a good point. It's like it could be a very different company not too soon in the coming years with like
a couple successful Netflix shows, and Nintendo could be a whole new company.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, they could have a lot more stuff going on. But yeah, that's largely the news we got here for Nintendo. Generally, luckily, some generally good stuff here to talk about. Things to look forward to. Mario Kart DLC looks great.
Yeah.
Switch to
still
on the
horizon
about Mario
for sure. 1,000 Year Door. Just by the way, everyone.
Yeah.
So stoked.
Gonna be it's gonna be good year decent year for video games next year upcoming. I don't think we've seen this year
it's not gonna be as wild as this year.
I don't think it's gonna be as wild as this year. But there definitely will be some hot stuff. Even like early next year it's looking pretty good, but then
February needs to calm down.
Yeah, it's going to pick up all over again for sure, and then hopefully we'll probably still see some other cool stuff like Mario. I could see that Paper Mario remake being much sooner than we realize, for sure, and
it's
we could
for May or June or something.
Yeah, and we also could be in the world of a new Nintendo console as always. But for now, we got stuff in the now. And that's the video games we've been playing on our Nintendo Switches. I actually, the big one, of course, was Mario Wonder. But before we get to that, I did want to shout out Cocoon.
Yes.
Which I've been playing. Which I played. Admittedly, I played it a while ago. Like I played it like the weekend
it came
out.
October.
That's pretty. I know it feels a while ago, but it wasn't a while. I definitely had that moment when I was like writing down, like I was like putting our doc together for the episode. It was like I put down Mario Wonder, and I was just like I sat there for like a good couple minutes, being like, I definitely know I played something else in October. I went Cocoon. That revelation of Cocoon, because that is also a very good video game. It is on Switch. I actually ended up playing on my Xbox because of Game Pass, because it is on Game Pass. It's on everything, so I would recommend it to anybody. Play it wherever you want to, but it is on Switch. And yeah, it's again, banger year of video games and good video games to play this year. That one is like the perfect, like, that to me is like it's like a very perfect like palate cleanser game that between like maybe some of these bigger games. You've been playing a lot of these bigger things, because it's like you can beat it in like 4 hours if you want to, and just like zoom through it. But you can also spend a lot more time and like play through it a couple times, because there's like some crazy secret things that you can figure out to like get like a secret ending that's really cool. But yeah, if you're not familiar with Cocoon, it's a puzzle game. It's made by the people who made like some of the people they left after they made Limbo, and there's another one,
Inside, right?
Inside, yes, they were from that team. Some of the lead people there went and made like a new
Playdead? Was that
Playdead? I think that was. I think you're right. I think it was Playdead. They left and made a new studio, and this is their first game. And like, yeah, they knocked it out of the park on this first game. It is one of the coolest puzzle games I've played in a long time. Again, it's not like super long, but the whole premise is like you're this little like bug robot creature person kind of thing, and the whole thing is you're basically navigating these environments. And kind of like traversing them is kind of the main puzzles. But once you get into deep enough, you basically get these orbs that you use to manipulate stuff in the environment. But the orbs themselves are also the levels that you are like traversing and solving puzzles in. So it kind of starts off with just like, okay, when you kind of play through like the initial tutorial of just like getting around in movements, it pulls that moment that if you see like a trailer, like I'll probably throw a trailer here just so people see it visually, because that's like one of the coolest things is like the visual presentation of all of this stuff in the game. It's basically like you'll like run into like this big robot boss that's like the boss of the kind of the world, or orb or whatever, and like when you run into those, you get like knocked out like of the world, and it literally just like warps you out. And you have this whole sequence where you like see yourself, like it like zooms out of it, and you like come out of the orb, and then you basically have to use the certain kind of there's certain places in these environments where you place the orbs into, and that lets you like jump back into that world itself. So that's just like the start of it. So basically, like a lot of it, like the early bits, it's kind of plays out like that, where like, all right, you kind of meet the big bad of this kind of orb world boss. Once you take them down, that gives like the specific orb you completed it in like its own unique ability. It's like the first one you get is an orange orb, and like it's like a deserty area. It's kind of like the first area you start in. And once you do that, once you're like outside of it and in kind of like the main world, and you can carry that orange orb around, there are certain places where it reveals like pathways that you can walk across. So that's kind of the first one, and then it gets crazier because then you start getting multiple orbs and you're using them interchangeably in different environments and different ways to solve puzzles. So there'll be moments when it's like the second one is like a green orb, and then when you go into it, it's like a forest kind of like ruins kind of area, and you're solving puzzles through that. But now you have this orange orb, and it can do that ability where it reveals pathways. You were taking that orange orb into the green world to like then solve puzzles. Ooh. And then you're also able to then swap it the other way and like take the green orb into the orange, back into the orange orb to then like also use it to do different things. And it gets insane by the end because by the end you have like 3 or 4 of these different worlds that you've completed, and you are using the orbs interchangeably in the different worlds to like jump in, and like this orb has a unique thing where like, oh, you can like shoot a little like you shoot a little energy blast out of it, and you can use it to like activate things. So there's literally a point in this game, I'm going to spoil like a little bit here for the late game, where you literally are you're using that orb to shoot into another orb, and that when you shoot into it, it's shooting in the world that it takes you to, and like where and like basically wherever you spawn into the world when you're diving in, you can see like real time like there's places where you can essentially put the orb down that's able to shoot little energy blasts in a direction, and it'll allow it to shoot into other orbs, and then the orientation of where that orb is shooting into will you can then go into the orb it's shooting into. Guys, it's very, very elaborate, but basically
I get it. It's wild.
But yeah, you basically let that orb shoot into a different orb, and then you're able to jump into that same orb, and then wherever you are like spawned into in that world, the energy blast will come out of like the spawn point and be shooting in a certain orientation. So there's literally puzzles later in that game where you have to like orient the one that shoots into another orb, and then have that orb be shooting into a thing to activate a thing in another world. Or you're literally doing like multi-orb shooting, where you're like shooting one thing into a direction and then letting it shoot out into another orb, and then like have multiple orbs shooting in, like having the orb like bounce around through multiple things to activate a thing. Or there's like you have to like jump multiple layers in, where it's like, okay, I'm in the purple orb, which is this one particular world, and I need the orange orb to get across this path, and then I have to place it in a certain point so that this thing is activated. But then I have to leave it here, and I can't like and from where I'm at, I can't like jump back out of this orb where I need to be. So I have to like take another orb into the orange orb to make a pathway all the way out of like the whole sequence of orbs. It gets buck wild by the end, and it's like so creative, and like it has so many of those moments where you're just like it layers on in a very well paced thing, because again, you only start off with like the one orb that you're jumping in and out of, and then you get the next orb, and then you start to see like, oh, okay, these are like interchangeable and like used for like I need to use one orb in this world for a certain reason, but I also have to like do the opposite and take this orb into that world again to do different things completely, and then I'm using multiple orbs later on in multiple ways to do stuff. So just super inventive and really cool. Sound design in it is also really freaking good, because it's like very like sci-fi, like low like low kind of low poly, but more just like very that very like some more simple aesthetic to it, and just has a really cool visuals and stuff in it, and again has some like meta-y stuff where like there's certain puzzles where you're like you have to like activate little like kind of symbols in order, and the symbols will be like hidden in the environments around you, and you have to figure out which ones you have to hit in order to kind of get certain things you use for a puzzle. Let's say there's just like some extra meta things that like when you find those puzzles, you can do different codes that do different things, and then if you're able to figure them out throughout the game, then it unlocks like a secret ending basically for you to go find. So like kind of like a little like almost Tunic adjacent,
or
Fez Death's Door. Kinda. So there's a little bit of that too in the game, which is really cool. But yeah, I had a super fun puzzle game that I really liked this year. Again, I played one full. Again, it's not super long, but it's I played it like in a binge session on a Sunday, because I was like, I'm gonna check this out. It looks really cool. I was always interested in it from the trailers. and then played and was like, whoa, this is rad, and then just ended up playing through all of it right then and there. Cocoon,
I've been saving it for when I finally beat Baldur's Gate 3, and that day might come soon. We are in the finale.
Yeah,
my group
after like 800 hours of playing it.
We have 115 hours in our save file, and then I have a solo playthrough with 77 hours in it. So
it's crazy.
Yeah. It's a wild game as well, but that's not on Switch. So we won't have to talk about that. The only I will say, as far as games for me outside of Mario Wonder, I did, and you can it's like clockwork. It just happens every time we talk about Paper Mario. I did play through the first 4 chapters of Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Story.
Nice.
And still good. I can't wait to see the new localization and all the updated translations and everything.
Yeah.
Just so much personality in that game.
Yeah,
so much.
I'm hoping for like a little like tiny surprise of something new in that.
Yeah,
that
maybe remake, side quests and stuff.
Yeah, if it doesn't happen, it's fine because ultimately it'll be nice to just have like a HD remade version of that game. But like it'd still be cool if they maybe did like a little teasers here and there. But that's cool to hear.
Or stuff like that.
Still
would be cool too.
A very good video game.
Yep. Highly recommend if you've got a GameCube laying around.
Yeah,
I know that game's like $400 if you're trying to get the disc. But
great. It's crazy to try and get that now. But yeah, at least we're getting that HD version. Mm-hmm. But yeah, let's talk about Mario Wonder.
Where are you at in Mario Wonder? I'm curious.
So I was trying to beat it, but then some other thing, like we talked about Alan Wake.
Someone named Alan Wake came into your home.
Yeah, Alan Wake was like, we need a right to survive. And I'm like, okay, Alan, let's do it. Like, okay, I'm gonna get out of the dark place. And so I showed up for that, and then also we also mentioned Wayfinder. I'm still playing that a little bit. So
Spider-Man happened.
Spider-Man 2 happened. Like, man, that's crazy to think about because it's
been maybe the wildest month.
That was ever. This month was pretty wild for a lot of reasons. But yeah, it was. I think I did almost finish it though, regardless of the stuff. I have one more of the big piranha plant clouds like circling the Bowser Castle, and I'm assuming I don't know if the Bowser Castle is a whole world or not, but
not a whole world. It has levels in it though.
Yeah, I figured as much. So I did do like when because I knew you get to the one point where and it's like, hey, you can do anything like the last couple worlds in any order. So I did do a couple of those out of order. So I did the
Me too.
I did world 4 first still, but then I went to the lava world at the end. Man, that lava world will kick your ass, huh? That definitely ramped up for me. But yeah, overall Mario Wonder, it's a delightful, great video game. I'm happy that like it feels like a 2D Mario game for the people who like kind of played a lot more and enjoyed a lot more of the 3D Mario games.
Yes,
I feel like it feels like the first time they've really doubled down on the idea of like, hey, at this point in the life cycle of Mario, there's a lot of people who played 3D, more people who probably played 3D Mario games than maybe 2D Mario games. Actually, I don't know if that's for sure, but
sales numbers would probably disagree, but I don't know. I feel like
yeah, you're probably right.
That doesn't, but people buy 2D Mario U, and like they'll never finish it, right? Like how many people do you know that have finished that game?
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, regardless, I think ultimately of that, I think ultimately what my point was more so was just that like like regardless of which one was more popular, but it's more to just that this game feels like it was more directed by the idea of like what 3D Mario is and does for this franchise is more infused in this game than I feel like any other 2D Mario game has before, and I think it's ultimately much more better for it in a variety of reasons, just because it is. Just the visuals of this game, super expressive and amazing, right? Like, it just looks gorgeous. Seeing all the characters, like, way more emotive in how they, like, even if they just, like, jump into a pipe and then, seeing Mario go into a pipe and his hat flips off and he grabs it out of the one point. And then he comes out the other side and does, like, a little cute peek and then just hops out, and, like, a bunch of the characters do that. I like, I played a little bit of Yoshi. I do want to play more as them. Although I know people don't like them, I actually really like playing as Yoshi because I just like when he does a similar thing when he goes into a pipe and then he'll just like slowly point his face back and just like stare for a second.
It's awesome.
And then go back in and it's just like, sure, why not? That's
wonderful.
Silly. Yeah, it's silly and great.
You could tell that there was like such a philosophy behind this game of like, we just need to make it whatever we do, it has to just delight. It has to just make you smile.
Yeah.
And mission accomplished.
Yeah.
It is strange, right? I've learned now that all my favorite Mario games are the ones that let you play as Peach. It is weird, like the hard shift to like, neutralizing all of the jumps and everything across all the characters.
Yeah.
And the badges obviously come into play, but it is weird having Peach without the float.
Yeah.
But it's still fun. I will say, like, as someone who just likes to play as that character, and I played some as Daisy as well, it is fun just like having someone else there, having it feel more like, an extended family type deal. And Bowser not like having to subject a woman to his pleasures to be a villain in a plot, right? Like, and Bowser's great in this. I don't want to spoil the ending for you, Mike, but it's very fun.
Cool.
And I've finished it. I have completed it. I've done everything. I've got all the standees. I finished the final test, which is what the last level is called, and I spent 3 days in that last level. Just like an hour of attempts, and then like, okay, I'm going to go to bed now, and I will pick this up tomorrow night, and another hour of attempts, and then I got it on the third night, and I was
cool.
Like, oh. It was great though. I still had a pretty good time, even though it's brutal. It's like Mario Maker bullshit brutal.
Yeah, this I was gonna bring that up too. Of like, like I said, that World 6 in particular felt pretty brutal, and this game also feels inspired by like what Nintendo probably looked at what a lot of people made for Mario Maker and went like, hey, can we infuse some of those ideas a little bit more into our game, because clearly there's a lot more people who like this stuff than we realized, and like it feels like that is there too, where like there's stuff a little bit more ridiculous, or like there's a little bit more challenging jumps, or like to solve these little extra puzzles to get this little extra thing, you have to like figure out that you can like kick the shell up at things with instead of just kicking it forward, and like I noticed that a lot more in the,
or if you're elephant and
secrets.
You can hold the big shell, and when you kick the big shell as the elephant, it breaks the other blocks, and now you can get through this pipe. It's like, oh, that's really cool.
Yeah.
And the environment told me this. No flower showed up and said, you should grab that as an elephant. They used that to just be fun and silly, as opposed to just tell you what to do.
Yeah,
which I appreciate.
That's actually a really good point. That didn't really click with me when playing it, but you're right. Of just like that idea of like these flowers could have totally been the opposite, and they could have just been the like, use the A button to get through this thing, and
don't do that.
And instead they just say really dumb, stupid things that just kind of make you like chuckle every so often.
Like you go up a pipe and there's like 3 flowers hanging from the ceiling. You kill them, and then the flower's like, I'm all alone now.
And you're just like, oh shit, I'm sorry.
That's so sad, but funny.
Yeah. And they're just like surprised, or they just like freak out when you're like you're like flying across, and they get like flung with you. They're just like, god, just like freak out, and it's like, it's very fun and silly. Like, why not just have these extra little things to add in here? What were like some of your like favorite like levels or like wonder like things that like came up throughout the game?
Yeah, there's so many too. I appreciate that, it's not infinite. There are some like that loop back around.
Yeah. That very much feels like the thing where like it made a lot more sense to me too, which I should bring up too, of like the idea of it being like more a 3D like style Mario game, is that the lead guy on this was like the same lead on the 3D Land, 3D World Mario games, yes, exactly, yeah. As soon as I saw like somebody pointed that out on Twitter, I was like, oh, that makes like 100% sense with this game now. Like if like that the DNA of those games like is here in this game, and that like how like you said, they set up kind of the weird sort of wonder abilities that are sort of like these like things that like they kind of use it once, and when they first introduce it to you, in the same way they do it like in a 3D Land or 3D World, where they like kind of introduce a concept to you in one level in a very basic form that makes sense, and then like you'll get like 2 worlds later and they'll bring it back, but it'll be like with like more things added in, or like extra complexities to them. And they like that's 100%. Like there's a lot of stuff they do that really well with in this game, which I like a whole lot.
I like all the ones where you get turned into the spiky ball. I think there's only like 2 of those levels.
Yeah.
I can tell, like, there isn't much that I don't like in this game. It's honestly the one thing is the levels where you become a Goomba, because they're so slow.
Sure, yeah.
So long, and they take forever, and you die if you get hit once.
Oh.
And that's a bummer. But again, that literally twice in the whole game, and I think it's used well. They were the slowest, and they took me forever to find everything type levels. Favorite stuff. I like the ones where you like flat into the background.
Yes,
and it becomes like
yes,
a
that's
top
what
down game.
that was gonna be mine.
Those are
that was
good.
that was definitely one of the first ones I saw, and that blew me away. I'm just like, you just like, because it's like a sort of hidden-ish one, and it's like a snow level. I think the first one you come across, and you just like, okay, there's got to be something hidden up here, so I'm gonna jump up here, and it's a wonder flower. You jump into it, and then all of a sudden, Mario. I'm just Mario on like the backdrop,
on the background,
like walking like in a JRPG, and I was just like, what the fuck? And then it becomes like its whole other level, and you gotta play differently, where you're like dodging like through traps and stuff, and it's just like that was super cool.
Yeah,
I really like that. I like the weird shadow levels where you're like become super long Mario, and you gotta figure out how to traverse it, and like it admittedly took me a second to realize that like when you shrink as that one, he like shrinks all the way down and becomes super tiny, and you can like cross through stuff, but that just
you duck, and it's just all the trees in the background duck with you. It's so cute. It's so wonderful. I there's so many things, and I like to the Wonder Flower usually is what triggers this effect, and in subsequent playthroughs you can just skip that, make the level a little easier, shorter for yourself, makes going back and getting things faster and less aggravating.
If you just want to like go back for all that completion stuff. I just need to get the
flagpole on this level. I just need to get the Wonderful on the flagpole. I'll skip this, get through it, run through, boom, get my floaty hat on there, and we're done. I really like that. There's just like the way it's implemented is like twofold excellent in that it's great that first time, and it can just be that first time, and you don't have to like ruin it for yourself in a way. Unless it's the Goomba level. But yeah, I mean, it's got secret exits too, like going back to the first world and finding that first secret exit that leads off to like a whole other set of levels that we didn't see when we were playing on stream. Like that was awesome. Finding the special world, finding Captain Toad in the environment. Yeah,
that was like one of the last things I found was the special world, right? Because I beat like the lava world, and like an exit opens up right too, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. There's just set like clearly super hard levels. I did find one of the. I'm assuming there's like multiple Captain Toads hidden around multiple places, but I found there's one. I'll spoil one.
There's one in every world.
Oh, in every world. Okay, cool. Wow, good to know. I just found the one that was behind the waterfall. Is what I'll say. That was the one. The first one I found. I was like, oh yeah, Captain Toad's here. Hell yeah.
Always good secrets behind a waterfall. Yeah, the badges are awesome. Like
the badges
are cool.
Badges are really cool. I really hope they keep those kind of ideas in future Mario games, where it's like one is just like one's just a wall jump, which is like an extra wall jump,
a vertical wall jump.
Yeah, which is really cool, and it feels like really good. And then there's like that, like there's like the one that gives everybody like same with Yoshi, gives them like a flutter jump. There's like the crouch that gives them like the super crouch jump, like from Mario 2.
Super awesome.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, I like a lot of that stuff. Those are like super fun, and so I definitely hope that stuff sticks around for other Mario games. That'd be really cool.
And I like the delineation of the badges of like, here's like the good badges, and here are like helpful badges. Like after you beat the game, that's when most of those unlock, where it's like, hey, it's a badge that turns any power up you get into an elephant power up, for example.
Oh, cool.
Or any of the 4 major power ups in the game. That's what basically you unlock for beating the game.
Yeah.
And that's like, okay, I need to do this elephant level. Whatever drops, even if it's a super mushroom, I turn into an elephant. Boom. I just keep going.
Nice. That's cool.
That stuff is really cool. And then the pro badges, where it's like, this is going to make you run all the time.
Yeah, that's like I'm going to watch a speed runner in like a few months do some kind of crazy speed run with this thing on. Yeah, so I look forward to that kind of stuff too from this this game. So that's really cool. Yeah, like I will say, like I have like pretty minor gripes about the game overall as well, but like overall they were not really like ruin my experience. But I think the two main things for me were like I do like Elephant Mario and the Elephant Power Up, but I feel like I was hoping there would be a little bit more to it than what it is. Where like ultimately it is just kind of like any other power up in any other Mario game. Where I was hoping you would use it a little bit more, or like it would have some more effects, or like they would make more like interesting gameplay conceits around being an elephant.
Yes,
but ultimately
it's basically just like the Tanuki suit of this.
Game. Yeah, pretty much. It ultimately just ended up to that, and that's fine. But yeah, I did hope there was a little bit more out of that, just because they that was like the big reveal of that game originally, right? It was like, oh, he's just an elephant now. What the fuck? And now everybody can be an elephant. But yeah, like you said, it's just kind of like a Tanuki suit. You can kind of swipe with the elephant tusk, or you can, since you're so big, you can kind of push stuff around and smash stuff a little bit better. So that's cool. The other thing was that like I'm kind of bummed that there's not as many bosses as like other games.
Yeah.
Like because like there are like Bowser airship levels in the game, like many Mario games, and I think they look really fucking cool like in this game, because they're in that kind of dreamy green Bowser aesthetic that you can see in the trailers and stuff. Looks cool and really rad, but then like a lot of them end with like you either spoiler fight Bowser Jr. in every one, more or less, or it's like some kind of weird conveyor belt where you just like jump up and like smash down on a button and then you're just kind of done. So like it would have been cool to like, especially with like a lot of the ideas with like having like a Wonder Flower effect go off in a boss battle and have this like weird crazy boss like transform into like a different like mode or like portion of a battle or something. Like I think I would have liked to just seen some more interesting bosses in this game than what there is.
That's fair.
But ultimately, it's not like a deal breaker at all. Because I think there is just like it's just like such a fun game, such a vibrant, colorful game, and like I mentioned earlier in the episode, like I think the online for this game like is like super cool. And another thing that like this stuff should be in every 2D Mario game going forward.
Agreed.
Like period. Because like there's there's like the standees which people can put down, and like those act as like when you're playing online and let's say you die or fall off a ledge or whatever, you turn into a ghost, and like if there's like other ghostly people playing with you, you can just fly up to one of them and boop, you're back in the level and you're fine. You can also do that with like standees, or people put down standees in the levels and stuff. You can do the same exact thing with that, where you'll get knocked out, and if a standee's nearby, you can just fly up to it and grab it and be good and keep playing. So that's been like pretty nice, especially in some like these really hard levels, or like levels but you're still trying to like figure out stuff, or like I'm getting screwed up because I'm trying to get this weird little like coin collectible or whatever. It's nice to just have those extra things just to kind of fall back on, and that's just like I feel like a nice convenient thing instead of having to restart the level a bunch and like burn through a bunch of lives trying to like figure something out or whatever. It's cool, and it's also just fun just seeing like other random people just doing random stuff, or like having moments where it's like, oh, this little ghost, like, oh, I see this little ghost person running around, and I figure out how to like find this thing, and that person goes, oh, cool, and then like kind of follows me and starts like trying to figure it out themselves. You can like see it all in real time, or like vice versa, where you can see some person like, oh, this person just got like they're like back jumping around in the background, like how do you do that? That's cool. And that like kind of you can kind of like puzzle out yourself by figuring that out, or do weird like facial expressions, or like jump around with some person to kind of try and direct them and stuff. I definitely had that in one of the there's like one of those like more like puzzly rooms where you have to like find all of the things to get the Wonder Seed, and there's one that's like very well hidden where you have to like get the drill power and like drill into a platform and like get into this like hidden path, and like there's like three of me when I did that there was like me and like four other people just jumping around that space frantically until one person figured it out and then like went in and then just started
everyone
like
followed,
and then everybody and then we were just all jumping together in the thing like
it's such a fun like
it's like silly, just
it's kind of Journey-esque,
it's like Journey way. People made the joke of like this is like the best strand game there's ever been, and it's like 100% this is This is the Kojima's dream as Mario Wonder.
Yeah, Kojima's playing there is like, I am pleased. I will say, like, the most reductive thing I can say about this, which is like objectively a compliment, is this game is just Rayman Legends. Not a bad thing, but the approach to like music levels, except for like they don't do the thing where you're platforming. Well, they do it later, but where your platforming is like based on rhythm. When that like there are levels that use that concept. I don't want to spoil them because they're so good. And they use that sparingly. There are levels that use that like you need to jump on beat. Very difficult for me.
I've done one of those. Yeah, they're pretty challenging for sure. And again, remind me of those 3D World things. Like there were those were in 3D Land and 3D World. Those kind of levels in the 3D Mario space. But like, these are basically those sort of kind of in 2D form. And there are a lot more going on with them for sure. But they're cool.
The music levels are so great. There's a lot of them. There's a good handful. There's not too many. There's I don't know if you have done anything in the bog yet, but there's in a Boo House that was very good.
Okay, I haven't done the Boo House one. I was thinking of like the one I stumbled into that was like you're like traversing up, and it's like a bunch of spikes are like dancing with you, and they're like I think they like throw fireballs at you, and you're kind of dancing around, and that's again one of those moments where like the flowers with you the whole time, and it's just like, oh god, what is happening? It's very good, and this whole musical sequence is playing, and it's like those are like you said, there's not like a ton of them, but when they pop up, it's like, oh, this is great, this is wonderful.
They're like, it's so well paced, of like here's a really tough level. And then, we're going to have some fun, just kind of exploring levels, and then music level, and then back to it like a castle or a tough level or something. It's like, there's so much care put into that level of just like how and when you get to these levels and stages. Like, and like you said earlier, you can go, after you get through the third world, you can do any of the last three in any order. So I did them in reverse. I did 6, 5, 4. Kind of wish I did 4 first because that whole desert world is so awesome. It's
cool.
Good.
It's really cool.
But like I love that. I love that freedom. I love finding the way to the special world in every game. Like in a lot of ways, as someone who was not super into 2D platformers when I was younger, like this is like my Mario world.
And
I love it.
It
might be my favorite Mario game, to be honest. Like even more than 3D World. Just because like I wasn't expecting to enjoy the platforming and the level design and the challenges as much as I did, but I really did.
Cool. That's awesome. Yeah, I like it a lot. I still have a little bit more to go into it, so I definitely will try and beat it, and I'll probably talk about it more maybe it's the next episode. But the
last boss will make you happy.
I do really like it overall from everything I've played. I've played most of it, so it's been good. I agree with you. Like I don't know if it would take some of the 3D Mario games over for me personally, but I think like it's easily my favorite 2D game because I've not played as many 2D Mario games as some folks have. I've not played a lot of them in many years because I think 3D Mario always was my jam. So to see this, so I think that's ultimately why this one stood out to me so much, because it feels very much like a 2D game that was now can take inspiration and direction from those 3D games more than ever before, and also Mario Maker as well, and seeing that kind of infused into this game and more compared to like when you look back at like the new Super Mario Bros. Games, which were just kind of like, I'm sure there's some fun stuff in those games, but they definitely felt more like they just felt like they were doing the same thing over again, where this feels more like an actual evolution from a base level of just like, of course it's 2D Mario and you still have the fun of a 2D Mario, but now it feels like they've incorporated a lot of the more modern things that have been so good about some of the more recent Mario games, 2D and 3D, in a way they haven't, I think, done in any of the other 2D ones before this. So that definitely puts this higher on my list because of that, of just it kind of evolving that 2D Mario stuff. And I'm really stoked to see whatever the next 2D Mario thing is now, more than I have ever been.
Yeah.
stoked about.
Like a Wonder 2, like I would eat that up. Gobble gobble. I said before we started recording, like I want them to do like a Donkey Kong Country DLC.
Yeah.
So you can play as DK and Diddy Kong, and then have like some Donkey Kong-esque levels, some country-esque levels in there, just because I think they would like fit with the way this game feels and looks and everything really well. Love to hear that music.
Really cool.
The World 5 music, the Bog World, I forget what it's called, like Spooky Bog or whatever, as like some of the best Mario music out there.
Cool.
Also, shout out to them.
It's the last world I have, so I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's just so funky. It's such a chill track. And
there's a lot of good music in this game too.
There's a lot of good music. All the song levels are also very good and very fun. Shout out to, I forgot. I was going to say something. It was something about World 3. Oh, one of the break time levels has like the forest song from Mario Odyssey in it, and I was like, hell yeah. Y'all know this song.
It's really great. Yeah, it's like I think I vaguely remember that one. Yeah, there's like a lot of like sunshine music into Surprise Me, which was just like randomly, it's just like, here's like the underworld theme from Sunshine in here, going, and you're like, hell yeah, get it. Sunshine.
I love this track. Wow.
Yeah. There's a lot of good use of like the Mario music that's like not seen light of day. Plus, there's a lot of great original tunes that are in there that are just really good. But Mario.
I'm not huge on Mario. Just to establish, I feel like I don't necessarily talk about that a lot. But I like the Mario RPGs. Not huge on platformers really anymore. But this brought back some of that love of like loving playing Mario 3 as Super Mario Advance 4 on my Game Boy, like bringing that kind of vibe back, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, same for me. Like I would say I was always more on the 3D Mario spectrum. I like a lot of those 3D games. Like, obviously, like, 3D. We talked about 3D World a lot on the show. That's still probably one of my favorite. Still probably my favorite 3D like Mario game of all time. But then like I like some of the classic stuff, or I guess Odyssey's still new, but wouldn't be really classic. But I liked Odyssey more than I think some people did, and then I also really like Galaxy and Galaxy 2 were, I think, really incredible games. Finally having like a 2D game that like really grabbed me in a way that like a lot of the other ones haven't, or really never did. Besides maybe like Mario World, but like Mario World I played like in freaking high school, like 10. I have not played that in years, so
It feels
good to like have like a new 2D thing finally, like
significant for 2D Mario. We haven't had something significant for that.
For a absolutely while. And that's cool. That's like, this is like we were talking about most episode, like this is probably one of the last big games for Nintendo Switch was like a really really good 2D Mario game, and like that's a cool way to like kind of sort of cap off, although there's obviously more games, but I think like like a big marquee game like this, like I don't think
one of the A studios worked on this, right? Like you kind of know with like the sports games and the ports and like unfortunately Princess Peach Showtime, even though I think that game is gonna be awesome, it's like this is a B Nintendo team. I know this is budget level, but I'm still excited. But this felt like a team, like the Mario team, doing great stuff, making great music.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. But it makes me very excited for like the future of Mario stuff, and like actually being more excited, not just excited about like a new 3D Mario game, whatever that'll be eventually, because we'll probably see that next, but like also probably now looking forward more to like whatever they do in the 2D space, if it's something like this again, or maybe they go back to like a Mario Maker thing, and I think I'd be a lot more interested in that, because it would have the potential of having this Wonder stuff involved in that.
Yes. And
like seeing people be able to make custom levels with like Wonder abilities or stuff from this game could be really freaking cool. Or like having the Wonder like online stuff in a Maker game would also be really cool. Like being like really putting standees in Wonder levels or any kind of levels from other Mario games, or like seeing real-time people do like crazy 3D levels or other stuff. Yeah, it could just be really cool.
Yeah. Good stuff, Nintendo.
Yeah. Good stuff to close out. Good games to close out the Switch on. But, there's still one more big-ish game for the year. That's the Super Mario RPG remake.
That's insane.
Yeah, that'll be out in like basically 2 weeks, I think.
Days, right?
Yeah, something by the time this episode's up. But yeah, we'll definitely be back for another trip to Nintendoland later this month to talk about all that stuff and if any other news pops up till then. Kart. Yeah, so basically, plan is, I think, loose plan here as we get towards the end of the year. We'll probably do, or if we're gonna do probably that Mario Kart discussion thing here. Once the DLC drops, we'll have that kind of separate discussion. We'll probably do we'll do another episode of Nintendo Land probably end of November, maybe early December. Maybe we can kind of do talk about Mario RPG and maybe the Game Awards if that ends up having any kind of Nintendo news. We'll also probably do I think we've this is similar to what we did last year where we had maybe we'll do that kind of episode. Maybe we'll do like a loose game of the year chat about Nintendo games as a whole, and then we'll probably tick off sometime early next year, maybe January as we usually do, I think. And then we'll be back in February to talk about Nintendo stuff.
Yeah, what comes out in February? They have something coming out in February. Maybe that's the
I think that's is it the Peach game? Let me look if
Peach is March 22nd, I think.
Let me
it's March, but they've got some games coming out. I know at least.
I do not have that any Nintendo games on my. I have not updated my calendar, so I have no idea if there's stuff. But that's probably likely for sure.
God, remember when Octopath Traveler 2 came out this February?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
600 years ago.
I definitely tried playing that game, and just so much stuff was coming out that I was like, I'll circle back around to that. Who knows? Maybe by next February I'll have actually played more of that game. I don't know. Sure. I did like what I played, but yeah, I just did not.
Yeah.
But it's too much. It's just too much, and there's other stuff that I was more interested in. Unfortunately, that got left by the wayside. But yeah. I'm looking forward to Mario RPG because I never played that, so that'd be fun to play that.
It's great,
and talk about that in the next episode. So yeah,
I've never finished it, so I'm excited.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. So yeah, that'll be fun to chat about in the next episode. But I think that'll do it for this one. Yeah, thanks everybody as always for hanging out, listening to us ramble on about all things Nintendo. Yeah, you can check us out here on youtube.com/irrationalpassions where you're already watching, or on podcast services, wherever you want to find that stuff. But yeah, appreciate it as always, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.